And we're off on a Monday, the 17th of April. Welcome to the pod. It is it's Boomer, it's Warner, the Rhettster. Look at that. So I'm the Rhettster.
Oh wow. Role reversal.
Is this April Fool's Day? Oh.
Hinge punch first of the month.
You lucky duck. Yeah.
Rhett, you're back. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
This kind of feels like the old show we did. It's kind of like breaking news, and it's, even though you could be listening or watching this thing whenever the hell you want, it doesn't mean anything. But as we sit here on Monday morning at roughly whatever the hell time it is, there has been some breaking news in the land of the Calgary Flames. Welcome to the Tower Chrysler Studios, by the way. Tower Chrysler. When it comes to Chrysler, there's only one tower. That's what I tell my kids. I tell my neighbors, hey,
you tell your kids, eh?
Are you looking for a Dodge? Are you looking for a Ram, a Chrysler, a Jeep? It's only Tower Chrysler. Tower Chrysler. Of course, one of the OGs, partners of the program, and voted Calgary's favorite Chrysler Dodge dealer by the Consumer Choice Award-winning group. Brad Treliving, general manager of the Calgary Flames, the team announcing by way of a press release moments ago that the team and Treliving mutually agreed to part ways. So the Brad Treliving era as GM in Calgary is over.
Quitter.
Not a firing. He's a quitter. That's right.
Oh, okay.
And nobody likes a fucking quitter.
But we actually
I remember
Brad.
Dennis Miller, the comedian. He was on SNL for a while. He did
Yes.
Monday Night Football. I remember one of the funniest things is, I think he was on, I don't know if it was Saturday Night Live or what it was, but it's like Cal Ripken Jr., who of course had the
Iron Man streak.
Iron Man
Greatest
streak,
in
played
sport,
forever. Cal Ripken Jr. announced his retirement from Major League Baseball on Monday. Fucking quitter. It's like, yeah, that's exactly where I'd go with it. So Treliving is out after 9 seasons. I guess start there. Does it feel like, God, I remember sitting in the old studio 9 years ago. It was the old studio up in the Northeast.
Okay.
God. And that was the light after a very dark time at the end of Jay Feaster's run, if you remember. The trades,
the offer sheet,
the botched offer sheets, the missed playoffs, all of that. And Burke was in, made the move. Treliving was in. It really felt like this was the start of something new. And it was, obviously. They make the playoffs in his first season. So 9 years, 5 playoff appearances, 2 series wins, not including the Winnipeg play-in.
Right. It felt like it was every other year because it kind of almost was every other year.
Kind of almost was.
Yeah.
They win the regular season division as far as Pacific Division is concerned. They win that one twice.
2 of the last 3 Pacific divisions, I believe.
The best season under Treliving for the Flames last year. 50 wins, 111 points.
Second best season in franchise history.
Yeah. And then this year, which
it's not the second best season in franchise history.
No. Kind of the other end. If
you know what, compared to expectations, yes. In terms of record, they've been way worse. 17th in the league.
So, and you know what? I'm glad that we did those. Did you do your Bob Munich?
I did.
Prediction.
Well, Bob Germany had us writing in some. What do you think's going to happen?
Hey guys, for FlamesNation.ca, could you send you a thing here? Can you predict what's going to happen? What did you say about Treliving?
I said Monday they're going to have a mutual parting of. I said he might hang around.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
I kept coming back to the fact that there's only 32 of these jobs, and that while this might be a dysfunctional environment and things that he doesn't like about it, I think he'd love more autonomy. I don't think he handed out that Sutter extension. I think that's really changed the balance of power in the organization. I just thought there's only 32 of these. You work your way through it.
I think he's got a one-way ticket to Pittsburgh.
Well, okay, so we were talking about what? Philadelphia's got Briere in there.
Well, Philadelphia, they, of course, Chuck Fletcher out, but Danny Briere is the interim. Late last week, they cleaned house. But if there was a guy who was maybe going to leave a little milk in the fridge, it'd be Berkey for Brad Treliving.
Yes.
He would let the ownership know that if you're looking for
He's
somebody,
hired him once.
this guy's a great guy. I'm sure that he would have nothing but glowing things to say for Brad.
We talked about the roster. It's a difficult spot to come in because they are old and married to superstars, and as a result, don't have a lot of cap space nor a lot of prospect capital because you're in the spot where you trade your first a lot. You got Sid and Letang and Malkin. They missed the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. I don't think it's the most appetizing job, but again, if a team's looking for a GM, something's gone wrong. There's some issues, right?
And I feel like because this was the year they brought everybody back, right? In Pittsburgh. We don't need to talk about Pittsburgh. And they not only did they not win, they missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be some.
First time since Sid's rookie year they missed.
Some real decisions, hard decisions to maybe not just the GM, but above. So where are you at on this news today, Rhett? Are you surprised? I don't think we can be just because of how the year went, but we can. I was going to say,
I think it speaks to all the rumblings that were going on, things that we thought were happening. I think the contract was in front of him. I think it was his option to do. I think he had the interviews and he said, "To hell with this mess."
I wouldn't be surprised if when he got the word Daryl's coming back for sure that he said, well, this is untenable. It really felt like all season long there was a back and forth between the GM and coach in terms of, wrangling power rather than it didn't feel like a duo working in concert together. Like, wow, these guys are in lockstep. Like, look he calls up the kid, he plays well. No, it was called up and wait for 2 or 3 weeks and maybe the coach will put him in. This was clearly two guys that weren't philosophically on the same page at times this year.
I'm not saying that, but I don't disagree with it.
Yeah, and you don't have to say it. I mean, we're going around the horn here. What were your thoughts, Dino?
I guess I am a little surprised just because, like you say, at the end of the day, there's 32 jobs. Now, it's a small world, the old hockey world, right? Who knows what connections you have? There is, and to me, Pittsburgh, you kind of say it's not desirable. I don't know. I view that as that's a good job. I think there would be worse places in the NHL to land than in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Now we're putting the cart in front of the horse. I'm surprised. I guess I'm not shocked because does it make sense? It absolutely makes sense because the coach and the GM clearly weren't on the same page. I don't even, not to say they weren't speaking or they were fighting. It was the GM wanted one thing, and it's not a complete one's over here, the other's over here, but you could see that there was an appetite to put some younger players in, and the coach wasn't going that way. Not until late in the season, and by then it was too late. In some ways, remember we would have the homer. That's good. That's bad. That's good. So no GM. That's bad. Well, the coach and the GM didn't get along, so maybe this is better. Well, that's good, but
the fructose has potassium sorbate. That's bad.
But if the coach now gets a GM who is in lockstep with him, I do worry a little bit about how this team is going to play, what it's going to look like, and where they go from here. Just to kind of round out the news on this. So Treliving and Flames mutually agree to part ways. Don Maloney has been promoted to the president of hockey operations and interim GM. And essentially he is going to conduct the search. The search is beginning toot sweet, and they look forward to getting their new GM. According to the press release, now again, I'm reading in, there's no suggestion there that Maloney is going to be that guy.
Interim suggests he isn't.
Right. And
I mean, unless he wants to hire himself, why wouldn't you do it now if he's a guy they trust to make that decision? Yeah, and real quickly, he was the general manager in Arizona from May of 2007 to April of 2016. In 2017, he was brought in by the Flames as VP, had moved his way up to senior vice president, and they do fill the role that we talked, it felt like had been missing for a while, which is president of hockey ops. Ever since Berkey left, it just felt like there was a bit of a void on that front. And we asked the question last week, who would even be the guy if you had to conduct a GM search? Well, now we got our answer.
Doesn't it feel disjointed, though?
Everything feels dysfunctional and disjointed about this organization, but specifically about the Maloney hiring or what?
Yeah, I hate to sound like I'm taking a shot at Maloney because I don't know him that well, but from the interaction I've had, good guy, been around the game forever, blah, blah, blah. But he feels like maybe Treliving's a bit of a clone, again, probably too strong a word, but there's certainly, they've worked together enough that they have to have some of the same philosophies, yet we're moving on from one guy that had those philosophies. I'm confused by it a little bit.
Well, because remember that's the relationship.
That is
Treliving brings in Maloney,
who probably would have hired
him in Phoenix. So
Treliving hired his eventual replacement, which sometimes is how this business works. I don't know that I put them on the same page. Certainly they come from the same organization and they'd understand, they would have learned from each other, but I don't know Don very well, but it felt like since he's been a GM, a lot's changed in the GM job in terms of seats at the table when you're collaborating with others. And I guess to go back a little bit, my fear of, what was a worst case scenario is if Daryl's got more control over the GM chair. I don't think that's a good thing for this organization, because I thought he had a miserable run as GM here and he doesn't collaborate well. I mean, the reputation.
Well, but maybe that's why it's important that he has that say. I mean, just hear me out. Like, you don't want him to have say, but it was no good because the GM and the coach last year didn't collaborate. Well, isn't it vitally important that they get someone that's going to collaborate with him? If that was the issue last year?
If you're married to Daryl, then I suppose that makes sense. The challenge for me is that I think Treliving was very collaborative and open to hearing all kinds of ideas, and that was where things probably didn't go well with Sutter, who didn't like to share ideas and consider other people's thoughts on stuff as much as you'd hope in 2023 a head coach might.
So can we read into this then, that Treliving leaves, that we can shelf any of the Daryl might also leave discussion?
I would guess we heard last week sounds pretty ironclad,
right? Because I would guess if Daryl was potentially going to leave, Treliving may well have stayed. It would seem like this would, the indications would at least maybe that he's staying.
Yeah,
you're probably not far off, but let's not put everything on Daryl's head.
No, I'm not.
We're saying, are you buying this as Daryl's now back next year?
No, I'm saying if we're buying into the dysfunction, if Treliving was here and Daryl was here, and Brad is weighing, am I staying or am I leaving? He's chosen to leave. If he knew, if Daryl was one of the, and I'm not saying that's the team's problem. If there was an issue between the two of them, if Daryl's leaving, why is Brad leaving?
Do you see this as Daryl's back next year? That's what we're asking.
I said Daryl was going to be back before. I still believe that.
So we're in agreement.
And my point, we're in agreement, but you're scoffing at me, but I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's easy for us to say that Tree left because of Daryl, but we don't know that.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that.
Right? Yeah, you are.
What I'm saying
you
is
100% are.
I think you misinterpreted Dean's question. He was saying, does this mean Daryl's back? I think this does mean Daryl's back. And I think when we heard last week the rumored amount of money that was on the table remaining on Daryl's contract, and if you look at the history of this organization, I don't think this owner was comfortable paying $8 million for a guy not to be here the next 2 years.
I convinced myself that he was back last week.
So are you suggesting that Brad's leaving has little to do with his relationship with Daryl?
I'm just saying that it's become vogue to pile everything at Daryl Sutter's feet right now. It's become the easy out 100%. It's Daryl's fault. It's Daryl's fault. The players hate Daryl. The GM hates Daryl. The organization hates Daryl. Nobody wants to work for Daryl. Yet Daryl's still there, right? Like it is very vogue to use Daryl as the.
I'm not doing that though. I'm just thinking from where I'm sitting that why did the GM leave?
Yeah, you're alluding to the.
Sure seem as though he and
I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think they were best of friends, but I also don't think. Again, it's too easy for us to just go, well, it's Daryl's fault.
I'm not saying that.
No one's suggesting it's
that's not what I'm saying.
We've talked about all the numerous things that are dysfunctional.
I'm with you.
Owner, players, there's lots. But did you see this as a power struggle?
You need to go back and listen to how you've spoken then, Ryan, if you're not saying that, because the way you say it doesn't sound like you're not pinning things on that exact point.
We've done multiple afterburners together where I explicitly said this is more than a coach problem. There are player issues, there's off-ice issues, there's personnel issues, there's GM issues, there's owner issues. Never once have I laid this all at the coach's feet. If you're asking me what I think the biggest issue was this year, I do believe it to be the coach. But I've never laid it all conveniently at one person's feet. We've said there's blood on everyone's hands multiple times in the last month.
I'm not going to argue with you about this. You can go back 5 minutes ago and listen to your comments and say that, well, Treliving left because he didn't get along with Daryl. That was your reason.
Is that what you asked? I didn't think that's what you asked.
Well, I guess the point I was making is
at the start of the conversation, that's exactly what you said. Like, I don't understand how you can even debate it. If Jack has to go back and find it, go ahead. But that's what you said.
Okay, so
I
believe there's a power struggle.
Really,
it sounds like you do. Because you're not letting us move on here.
No, it's not just that. I think that there's frustration. If you're the general manager of a team and they offer you a contract to stay, you probably stay. Why would someone choose to leave? Now, is there a chance that this is, and I don't think there is this a firing that's being painted as a mutually parted ways? Not from what we've been led to believe. We believe that there has been an offer for Brad to stay if he wanted it, and he's now chosen not to keep it. It's the fact that he maybe doesn't get along with the coach. That's not why you leave a GM job in the National Hockey League. It runs deeper than that. There's got to be, I'm guessing it goes right up to the top with ownership, what he needs to do to conduct business, what limitations are placed upon him, what kind of autonomy does he have to work in that GM role. Then there's the chemistry that he doesn't seem to have with the coach. It's a big step to walk away from a GM job. It can't, to your point, it just can't be that I don't like the coach. It's got to run deeper than that. But I think it also has to speak to the level that he and the coach aren't on the same page. That's got to be a big chunk of it. And I'm not saying blame Daryl because Treliving's gone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just looking at this scenario. What I said is, now that Treliving is gone, is it safe to say that Sutter is in? That's what I said. Yes.
Yeah. Like we'd be stunned at this point if Daryl wasn't back. It feels like no one's got a tighter grip on their job in the organization than Daryl.
Well, and to that point, just to kind of, I'm not looking to cover my tracks. I don't really care. But if Daryl leaves, I guess my question will be, well, like, so why did Brad leave? What else is going on? So maybe Daryl does leave, but it sure doesn't seem to be pointing that. Now, moving on a little bit, one name we didn't hear today. All we heard was Maloney, and John Bean issued a press release. Again, podcast, depending on when you listen to this. 1:00 Mountain Time, Flames are holding a press conference. Treliving is not apparently scheduled to speak. It will be John Bean and Don Maloney. We didn't hear anything about Craig Conroy in this conversation. Is it safe to assume that Craig is in the mix and will be part of the process? You'll hear all that, how that is going to be worded and how it'll be put out there. I'm sure that's the case. Are you surprised that Craig just wasn't inserted as the GM today? He's been there a long time.
I would say that if I was Craig Conroy, I'd be some pissed off. I don't know if I'm shocked by it, because for some reason he's been pushed to the back burner, it feels like, on maybe a little bit since Tree came. And he's brought in those other guys. But Craig's been here a long time, and I mean, maybe the interview process includes him and maybe he gets the job, but I don't know what interview he has to do to prove to, like, they've worked together, right? Maybe it's just part of the way.
Similarly to Jeff Ward, the coach. He's the interim coach.
Maybe.
Well, we're going to talk to other people, and then it's, he's in as a coach. He was the guy we wanted.
I will say this: the difference there was that they were paying a coach to not do his job. They're not paying a GM to not do the job here. They should have theoretical budget space to go get the best GM possible. And I hear what Rhett's saying about, Connie should be insulted, but it isn't about knowing Craig Conroy. They do that. To your point, they know everything about the guy. What it is measuring Conroy against people from other organizations that you haven't interviewed. And I would be stunned if Conroy isn't a great candidate for the job and one that gets a lot of consideration. But it isn't the job of the Calgary Flames to promote people they have in the organization. It's their job to go find the best GM available. Is Craig Conroy the best GM available for this job? That's really probably the question that Don Maloney should be asking himself. No?
I hear you, but I put myself in Craig's spot, and I would be saying,
well,
what do I need to show you? What don't you know about me? I need to interview for this job.
No, they know him. I don't think they know the AGMs in Colorado and Carolina and all these other teams. No, that's my point.
I get it.
Briere, Drury, there's various other guys that have been handed it immediately with less.
If I'm not
with less learning,
if you're not sold on me enough today, and you knew that there was a chance Brad was going to be gone, if you're not sold enough on me today, are you going to be more in a year or 2 or 3? I get it.
I get that part for sure. Like if Craig doesn't eventually get this job, it could feel like the end of the line. But I also think, how the team has operated and its, dysfunction, we can aim higher than that in some of these things. This organization has a history of pretty much only bringing in green GMs or guys that are pretty out of the game for a long time. If you wanted to put in better process than what you've had in the past, and to Rhett's point, they really haven't done anything in the last 30 years aside from one miraculous run to the final. Shouldn't you look for the best human on earth for your organization? Not just the best one you know well. Like, would you want to talk to Eric Tulsky in Carolina or the AGM in Colorado that got all kinds of love for how he helped build that roster under Joe Sakic last year? You don't want to talk to those guys?
It's 2 things. I'm talking from the Conroy perspective.
Yeah. I would be upset if I'm Craig if I don't get the job, but I would understand them wanting to talk to other organizations. It's not like there's been so much winning here. You just have to hand it to the next guy. Yes, other guys have been handed it. I don't know it's best practice. I don't know that Chris Drury will turn out to be one of the great GMs in the league. I don't know that Danny Briere is going to turn out to be one.
So here we are. It's always a big fork in the road, or I think it was Burke that said it's like a gut punch in a way. It's like putting paddles to your franchise when you change a general manager, because everything is impacted. Relationship with players, staff, from top to bottom, training staff, guys in the room, all the way through. And with any coach, generally when a GM comes in and inherits a coach, the GM's going to want his own guy. That whole scenario doesn't change here, because I kind of agree with you. I think that the GM, in a way, inherited this coach because I think ownership wanted this coach.
So that's where the power struggle began, I think, is when you had a coach, I think, anointed from the owner, not hired by the GM, and then the same coach given an extension at extremely high dollars for one good season, when he still had a year left on his deal. Like, that to me was when the power swang into Daryl's court from Brad's. And I don't know that that's how many organizations in this league run, that the coach has more power than the GM. I don't think this GM would have handed that coach an extension with a year left on his deal.
Rhett, put yourself in the position of being an up-and-coming assistant GM, a guy who is, going to be in the conversation. We're going to start hearing names, obviously, very soon, of guys who will be in the mix for this job. How attractive is the GM job in Calgary to you?
It's one of 32.
Which probably tells you it's 25 to 32 of 32.
Well,
right?
it would
like
be.
It's a tough
you have a shitty rink. Your travel's not good. Your lineup is basically effing set. For better or worse, the rumors are that, and I think probably all GMs have to deal with ownership approval to a certain extent. I don't think it's run things however you want and don't worry about contacting me. But I think that there's a lot of involvement from the ownership. And I think there's other guys that have turned down the job that recognized that. So I think it's one of 32. I think it's extremely sought after. It's the NHL, but I don't think it wouldn't be the one you circle for the top spot in the NHL.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note when you're changing GM, how have things gone? Like Mike Greer didn't get to pick amongst the division leaders for his first job. It was like, well, there's an opening in San Jose and they're capped out and fucked. So
I'm not talking about where are they in the standing. I'm talking about the league-wide reputation of what happens in Calgary.
Yeah, I mean,
you have an owner who is, I'm not going to say meddlesome, but it does feel like the GM has to go through some hoops to get some things done. It used to be you had to get things past Ken King, then you had to get them done by Murray Edwards. Did you have the okay? It's not, and we're always very quickly told, if you think that that's how it goes in other markets, you're fooling yourself. You always have to run it up the flagpole and get approval from someone higher up. But I just remember going back to when Brad was coming in, it was maybe Steve Yzerman or maybe somebody like this. And the whole rumbling was there's no chance one of those guys is going to come to a scenario where, not that you're handcuffed, but you've got to always be asking, can I do this? Are we okay to do this? And I know for a fact that there have been trades that have fallen off that were basically approved. The two GMs had it done, and then either it got vetoed or they couldn't get a hold of the powers that be in time, and the other team moved on and got a different deal done.
It's managing upward. That's what you have to describe it as in the job position. You have to really manage up well. There's some jobs where you will report to a board and that's that. This is one where you have to manage up. I think that's a very important skill for whoever's going to do this.
What's our report card on the Brad Treliving file?
I feel like we want another year or two. The weird thing is, right? Like if this team this year flops really hard, it's going to be like, well, summer Brad was awful. It was no good. And they're capped out. If they make the playoffs, it's like, man, he got a raw deal. Or if it's like you have to remove Sutter in the next year and a half and the team immediately looks better afterwards, not like short term, but like, oh, here's what we thought was coming, then it'll look better on him. I think it's been a mixed bag to this point with a lot of really good stuff and also a couple of huge swings and misses. So it's not unlike a lot of GM's resumes, but I think the one thing we don't know the answer to is, like, where is this club the next 2-3 years? Will they still have to make the coaching change that I think he probably realized they had to this summer and wasn't granted?
I think Brad's game plan fell apart when Bennett didn't turn out. And I think he had the footprint and the pieces to have a top-end squad for a lot of years. We've brought it up a lot over the last weeks, but I think the Sam Bennett not turning into a number 2 centerman and the Sean Monahan injuries absolutely derailed everything. And I think when those two pieces didn't work, that led to Tkachuk and Gaudreau and maybe some COVID stuff as well, but led to those two leaving. And I think if you don't have those scenarios, I think that core group is stuck together and you're slotted out very well. A Monahan, a Bennett, a Backlund. You're going to fill the force center.
No.
I actually, and you wouldn't have had the Mickey Mouse trying to, bring pieces in maybe, because if you got a Bennett that turned into he was, what was he, 4th overall and was rated as high as 1 by Central Scouting. If he is a 80-point guy and Monahan is, and Monahan's still scoring 30.
What if Adam Fox doesn't mind playing in Calgary?
Fuck, you got a Norris winner in your second year in the league? That shit doesn't happen. Like,
Bennett was
a superstar.
Yeah, interesting. Bennett was Treliving's first march to the podium.
And it was also, when you look at that draft, I feel like his fingerprints weren't on it. It looked like a Berkey draft. They chased a lot of size.
Yeah, I'm not even necessarily blaming him for the pick.
No,
it's
I'm
just
not
in
saying
terms
that
of the time frame that because I agree with you, Rhett. It's if Monahan's body doesn't go south on him, he was a 30-goal centerman.
Yeah.
Right. And we kind of look back and laugh, like, how dumb are we thinking that this guy was good? The guy was good. He was one of the top centers in the Western Conference for a good period
in the game.
Right.
Fox is a game changer too. He's just going to be a perennial Norris candidate guy. Like, Jesus.
So, and we've talked about it. I think probably the failings for Treliving came July 1st. I don't know. Well, I don't know where we're at on. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and I agree with you, because you think about the signings that he had on July 1st, the Neil and the Browers and this and that. But does he have to do those signings if those guys are playing the way they're supposed to play? Does he feel the need?
I think the other factor there is that if this organization is hell bent on making the playoffs this year, those decisions are easier to convince yourself are the right moves. Like I think Chris Tanev's a really good UFA signing. 1 year left. We'll see how healthy he is. I think Blake Coleman's been okay, but I don't know that Brad wanted to be in the spot to have to make those signings so much for every year you have to make the playoffs is sort of how you're going to be measured.
The point I was going to make there is that I think you can look at the July 1 or the UFA signings and kind of, I think where his strength was in contract negotiations. Now, maybe the fact that he was hardline, maybe that costs you Gaudreau. Maybe if you go a little further the season before, if you go there with Tkachuk and get him signed, although I think that's a little lip service on Matthews' behalf. But
I agree.
Lindholm is at is on a good deal, and so is Hannafin, and so is Rasmus Anderson, and Mangiapane played. Again, it can go both ways, but I think that there weren't many trades, but I don't know that he lost many of them.
Carolina feels like a deal both teams would do again, to be honest. Right? That was the biggest blockbuster before the Tkachuk deal. And Rhett, I mean, I think everyone liked the Tkachuk deal. It was more the extensions that followed that you and now many others have issue with. So those are his two biggest swings, and I think they both teams would do them again.
80% of the stuff he did was great.
The internal extensions were very good. You know, when they handed Gio that extension, everyone thought, oh my God, you're going to pay this guy till how old? Then he wins a Norris at 35, and it was an incredible cap savings, but then he doesn't trade Gio. Was he allowed to? We don't know. Well, you know, it was a job that it's easy to see where his strengths and weaknesses are, but it's also hard to understand some of the parameters he would have had to have worked with. Like, okay, so Bill Peters, who, you know, did something heinous 10 years ago, is now no longer eligible to be hired. Here's your budget for a coach. What do you think that budget is? Do you think it's go get the best guy available, or like you got $1 million, find anyone? Right?
The moving on from Hartley, I think at the time, and you talk to anybody, almost everybody who was in that room. If you talk to them, they will tell you how they disliked playing for Bob Hartley. Now, it's kind of the same. I'm not comparing the two, but you move to Glenn Gulutzan. Gulutzan was, you know, very good assistant, probably not a head coach in hindsight. I don't know if that's blame or where you place that, but you talk about a guy like Drury in New York or some of these other teams. One thing those either new or young GMs chances have been given is a chance to strip it bare and rebuild. The Rangers picked Kakko at 2, Lafreniere at 1.
That's pre-Drury, but yeah.
You really don't get an opportunity to do that here. We've talked about it. Unless the floor just falls right out of it. You're spending to the cap. I'm guessing ownership probably wants you to be in on free agents and to have the best team possible.
Best team possible for sure.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, again, nothing's changed. They still would want to make the playoffs next year.
I'm not even placing blame. It's just it's fresh and we're kind of walking through it and just it's, you know, verbal diarrhea coming out, but it's a tricky spot when the expectation is, and it sounds like it should be commendable, but the expectations is playoffs every year. But what if our team isn't good? What if we're just not good? It's playoffs every year.
It's commendable when you're allowed to put a team together that's supposed to be in the playoffs every year. Not when you have to ad lib to create a roster that might sneak into the playoffs. Right? To me, playoffs every year means you're so damn good, you're the Leafs. And yeah, you're going to make the effing playoffs, and who knows what happens when you get there. Not, oh God, can we knock Seattle out of the playoff race? You know, can we get 97 points and get in? That, to me, is not playoffs every year.
Yeah, they've won 2 of the last 3 division titles in the Pacific. As crazy as that sounds, 2020 was the stupid Canadian division, but it's been Calgary and Vegas since Vegas entered the league. Those are the only 2 teams to win the Pacific. And if the pattern were to hold true, expectations will be low next year, and they'll find a way to get in, because that's kind of how it's gone pretty much since Treliving got here. It's weird that way. It's a talented roster. It's certainly not a perfect roster. And whoever does grab the reins here as GM, I think there's some interesting decisions they're going to have to mull over this summer, including, I think the elephant in the room is extending core parts to keep you competitive for the playoffs, who may or may not be fans of Daryl moving forward.
What would be, because you would think the draft is kind of an important kind of a mile marker for teams. You want to have that GM in place before you get to the draft, if only just to get around all of your scouts and have those meetings and the familiarity. You're probably not going to have a lot of input on the draft. So that puts, we're in April, May, June, a couple months.
2 months, yep.
Rhett, what's first order of business? I guess, number one, does that mean there's no business to be done? Does the interim GM, does he truly start working on this? But for whoever takes this job, what's job one when he takes over?
Get on the same page as Daryl. Or get Daryl on the same page as you. Right? Like, that has
Walk
to
us
be
through what that
attended.
looks like.
Well,
Like, what
sit in his
what
office.
it-
Sit down. Say what?
Yeah.
Here's the question. If it's someone new, my question, so I'm the guy that gets the job, I'm going to Daryl's office and go, what happened last year? I got to get Daryl's take on it. And I'm going, because we're just playing it. Well, what was wrong with playing Pelche? Why wasn't he ready in your eyes? So what about Ruzicka? Where does he fit? Get a breakdown of what Daryl feels about all the guys. And I'd go to Daryl
What about
first.
Valimaki? What about the 2 stars you brought in?
How did all this shit unfold? And be very clear. From a distance, Mr. Sutter, it looked really dysfunctional. So let's have some answers. And I think Daryl would give them to you. Following that, it's a conversation with every player. A long conversation, not a 5-minute, hey, I'm the new GM. I hope you're happy in Calgary. I look forward to seeing you in September. And that's why I think they've missed by allowing, and again, that might be why Tree left, is because he was allowed to have those conversations with those players on exit meetings, and he probably got the vibe that I don't want to be part of this. There's a lot of muck here to have to work through, and I think I'm just ready to move on. And maybe he's got another job offer already, who knows, but blah, blah, blah. The new GM should have been sitting there in that chair having the hour conversation with those players while it was fresh, because it's good to have perspective afterwards and after your emotion have calmed down, but it's also good to hear emotion out of someone and get the truth and that passion out of them, because when you call them in June, they're going to have a much more polished answer for you than a raw emotional answer of, God damn it, I hated when he did this, or this didn't work, or this was stupid, or this guy's an idiot, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get that in 3 weeks.
I think it's I think it's a very good point. Now, is Maloney in those meetings? Yeah, probably.
Connie
that
probably
that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. You're just like the 24-hour rule. You're gonna calm down a little bit. And if the new GM in June or July flies to Sweden to talk to Rasmus Andersson and Elias Lindholm, even if they're feeling it, if they don't know the guy, are they really going to be transparent?
And
This was the worst fucking year I've ever had in my life. This guy's like, I'm guessing that probably doesn't happen.
Are they concerned about what they're telling the GM's going to report to the coach? If those two are you worried about that? I mean, I think it's a really interesting question. I think, to Rhett's point, you dive right into the ashes immediately. What the hell happened here? And like, how do we fix it? And to your point, Rhett, like, it's too bad the guy wasn't in the room. I'm booking a flight to fucking Stockholm the moment I get this job. You've got Markstrom, Backlund, Shillington, Lindholm, Anderson. 2 of those guys, their contracts expire in a year. A lot of those guys would be considered part of the leadership group. And to your point, I don't think trying to line up time zones for a 30-minute Zoom call is the same as get your ass over there as quick as you can. Now, if you're Craig Conroy or someone internally that ends up getting this job, that need might not be as great, but it's important to get to the bottom of what went wrong and how you stop it from happening again. Or, okay, we have an off season now. If there's one issue is here, maybe we can shuffle some things around and, that issue can be alleviated or even solved.
And similarly, I'm going to Viking. I'm going to the farm with a bottle of rye.
Yeah, go sit by the fire.
Let's go. Enough. Like, let's figure this shit out. We all want to win. You want to win. So do the players. What's happening? I don't know that happens, but I feel like I'm with you. I think you just really need, and we've used that word, it should be a friggin' t-shirt, dysfunction. It's going to take some real talk.
Yeah.
Some real honest conversations, some hurt feelings, whatever the hell it takes. But strip away your friggin' pride and ego and sit down. This team is too good to play this poorly at times, to be out of the playoffs.
Chicago season series.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Let's go. And you said, Rhett, what's the GM going to do? Change the roster? No, your contracts are pretty much nailed down.
You got a couple moves in you to get some cap space. That's probably all you'll be able to do here.
Fellas, let's figure this thing out.
Well, how Daryl way better than, you know him well. We don't. Is Daryl the type of guy that would look back and sit down with you and just between the two of you say, I overdid this? Or is he not someone that will admit fault to a fault, if you know what I mean?
My assumption is that Daryl will have some say as to who's getting hired. So I think with that being said, I think he would be, if he's hiring someone that he knows and trusts, he's going to be more open than someone he's never worked with. Right? I think there's going to be, I think there's always going to be a certain level of honesty from Daryl. He's not big on sugarcoating, but he might not delve into all the particulars if he doesn't know the person and doesn't know them well, right? Like, I'm guessing that he wants to be able to trust the guy he's working with as well. And when you don't have, if it's someone completely new, I don't think it will be, but if it was someone from left field and completely new, I think that they are going to have to develop some sort of bond before you get all of the dirt on everything.
Yeah. Like, I wonder how he'd answer, like, what happened when the lines changed 7 games into the year and you're 5-2, if he'd be like, oh, I overhandled. But I guess who he's talking to your point, would maybe affect the answer of that.
So, and we can move on. For you then, Rhett, I'm curious, and I'll ask you too, Ryan, if what you're saying isn't in fact what is maybe taking place, Daryl's going to be back, might have some say, will have some say in who the next GM is. How does that make you feel? Having watched 82 games this year of underachieving and everything, does it give, if the coach and GM or whatever, if they're in harmony, does that give you hope, or does this give you, because there'll be a lot of fans who will be saying this is the worst thing that could have happened?
Yeah, and I think that's an overreaction by fans. I don't like Treliving losing his job. I think he was a good guy and a good GM, and most of the shit he did was pretty top notch. I think he was hardworking and approached it, and it was good in the community, blah, blah, blah. And to hear people go, well, if Daryl has a say in any of this, it's going to be shitty. No. We don't know, but we do believe there was some cracks between Brad and Daryl. And if that's the case, and if that's why the season went the way it did, shame on them for being childish and not mature enough to fix it. Anyway, it's important for the GM and coach to be able to work together. So if Daryl does have some say, good, right? I don't think Daryl wants, and I could be wrong, but I don't think Daryl wants to wear the GM hat. Maybe he does. Maybe that's what he's hoping to get, and he'll hand off the coaching reins. Maybe he's going to interview to be GM. Then I don't think it'd be good. But if Daryl's coaching and he has some say or some camaraderie with a guy they bring in, That's a good thing to me, because you don't want a GM sitting up in his office going, well, I'm giving this guy a player to play and he doesn't want to use him. Now what am I supposed to do? Right? Like, there shouldn't be questions between the two of them. You don't have to walk down the hall with your hand on his shoulder and your best buds all the time, but they should be able to agree on what the approach is for your hockey team. It shouldn't be two different paths going down different hallways and in different directions. So I think if Daryl does have some say, who cares? If the owner has entrusted Daryl to coach this team, then there has to be some working relation between the GM and the coach.
And I think that there was, and obviously there was, because you go back to the start of last season, and I just remember as that team was being put together, we all remember Eric Goodbranson comes in. That was kind of a Daryl recommendation. Trevor Lewis comes in. That was with Daryl. And remember, because he got picked up on waivers, Brad Richardson, right? Remember, he came in and then got plucked.
Lewis.
Those were Daryl guys. That was Brad putting together a Sutter team for Daryl. This year, I think it's just safe to say that Pelche and Huberdeau and Phillips, these were guys provided to Daryl by the GM that he had no interest in, that were not a fit for him. Could it have been handled better? Maybe on both sides, maybe. But you're right. Whether you like it or not, there needs to be better harmony between the two. Yeah. And just to pick up on a point that I think we made last week, a year ago right now, no one was saying that Sutter was overcoaching or didn't know what the hell he was doing.
No one was critiquing Kadri and Huberdeau's portfolio either. It's been a rough year for a lot of guys.
Top line in the league. You win a thrilling round one series. There was no question of what Daryl was doing behind the bench.
Yeah, agreed. And to follow up on Rhett's thought, I think you definitely need a more harmonious relationship between GM and head coach. But what you don't want is the direction going bottom up. You want the GM to be able to challenge and work with the coach, not be told what to do. If there's a GM here that feels like a Sutter puppet, I'm terrified. I don't know necessarily who or what that would look like, but that's the challenge, I think, with Daryl, because I don't know that he's let's get more bodies in the room and talk this out. He kind of has his way or the highway. So that will, I think, be part of the challenge of finding a new GM, someone that will work it with them, but someone that isn't going to take orders, that still, hopefully you can work together. But no, Daryl, like, we do need to get this kid in. Like, they're going to lose Matthew Phillips, I think, over this, which may be nothing, and it may be a real good player, but it's that type of stuff that I think was the challenge.
I think maybe the biggest thing for all of next year is a Daryl Sutter look in the mirror situation. And that's taking, well, how do I would hope he's been around a long time, right? Like, if you're not smart enough to evaluate yourself, I have a real disdain for people that can't look in the mirror and admit when they're wrong. It actually, internally for me, that's I hate people that can't admit when they make a mistake and they have to try and pass it off as somebody else's problem and they didn't. So, but it's my personal opinion on things. And I just like to think that Daryl would be smart enough to go, okay, where did I miss here? What did I do wrong here? He seemed to change at the end of the year. Well, for better or for worse, or if he was just resigned to what he was given. Now, I don't like taking all the emphasis off the players, because I think it's important for everyone in a season like this to do that. Yep. But for Daryl, I think my advice to Daryl, go look in the mirror. If you're coming back as coach, drop the this is how I do things and this is the only way of doing things, and just look around the league. Look around the league and find out what the age of the kids that are making the impacts are. I know for a fact in 2005, 2006, instead of going young, we were a young team when we went to the finals. We had a lot of kids. And we go to the finals, and we got absolutely decimated by injuries. And Daryl's approach to that was, I'm going to get a bunch of veteran older guys to help get us over the hump. It was complete opposite of the way and the direction of the league. The rule changes were opening the game up to more speed and more finesse. And we went and got clunkier and older. And the guys that we brought in were wonderful guys and good teammates, but they were older, slower, less skilled, right? They had a history. And I think Daryl is still he's that tire's still in that rut. That tire, he's having a hard time getting it out of the mud there, getting it back into the middle. He's still got some tendencies there, and you see it with the Lewis and the Lucic and the Richardson and the Gabranson thing turned out. That's fine. But he's going to have to, at some point, if he wants to continue down a coaching path, and I think he's got 2 more years and he's riding off in the sunset anyway. But if he wants to have success in those 2 years, listen, Daryl, just evaluate who can and can't help you and why you have the opinion that if they're young, they're not capable. Be open to some change in that particular opinion, because I think if he can do that, he can go back to Viking and take some time and go, okay, I'm going to give these kids a chance. I just don't think you'll be disappointed.
I feel like the canary in the coal mine will be the Trevor Lewis extension or free agency.
Yes.
Right.
And that's when my season tickets get canceled.
We're back to that. There it is. That's
but it's yeah. And so on one side, you're like, he's really smart. How could he not look in the mirror? But on the other side, it's old dogs, new tricks. And we did see the same mistakes. And you're like, even still, you're doing this, hey? So I think it'll be, and to your point, Huberdeau's got to fucking look in the mirror. Kadri's got to look in the mirror.
Everybody.
People that consider themselves leaders on this team have to look in the mirror.
We need a lot of mirrors.
A lot of mirrors.
Should open a mirror.
Smoke a mirror.
Business.
You talk about people making mistakes. There were a lot of mistakes made on Friday night at the Grey Eagle Resort. There were a lot of horrendous mistakes made by the draft teams, by the people, the individuals, the hosts, you name it. Plenty of more mirrors. A lot of people that next morning, they needed to take a look in the mirror.
Oh, they didn't want a mirror. Wait till tomorrow. It was too early the next day.
Pretty on Saturday.
It was a banger Friday over at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. The inaugural Barn Burner playoff draft went off. We got through 10 rounds and some controversy, some booing, some cheering. I thought we were close to having a trade.
We almost so excited, right? On the draft floor.
You go to the NHL draft when there's a trade in the early part of the first round. The room is just buzzing.
You're gonna want to hear this.
Oh man, it looked like we were gonna have a blockbuster, and that just led to some animosity in the room. Now you kind of did your laps retro as Pinder and I were kind of doing the mic work. You were visiting table to table. What was the mood of the teams? Because I think by about round 2 or 3, everybody hated their team.
Yes, there was much like the dysfunction we've discussed with the Flames.
Yeah,
from table to table, full of dysfunction. There weren't many squads that were pulling on the rope together. There was a lot of animosity. I hope it works out in the long run for these people. They work together.
Yeah.
I just hope relationships weren't ruined too much.
I feel like by the end of the June, there's going to be more GM searches for next year's draft.
Yes.
There was a lot of teams that really felt like, geez, that player, that's the third time in a row you pick someone who's already been drafted. And like, can you get your shit together? Or B, like, why do we have one player on every team? This isn't going to work.
So funny.
I loved when the GM, there were numerous tables where the GM, he pulled off the mic. You're done. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, the mouthpiece was done. Shut it. He's not making any more picks. No, she's
don't
making
go to
picks
that.
No more for him. No more for him. It was a great night, and we'll know sooner than later. But it's going to be a nice little number for kids sports. So thankful. Obviously, paybuilt.com jumped on board as our title sponsor. We talked about them a lot in terms of your small business, big business. It's the new way. It's the way to go in terms of accepting payment from your customers. You can do it online, in store, on your app. It happened to us, my wife and I, the woman that I live with, less than a month ago. So all of a sudden, all these stupid. Did you buy 19 things from Apple? No, I didn't. I didn't do that. Oh, well, shut the credit card down. Call American Dude.
She is PayBelt.
Use paybill.com. Use paybill.com. And as well, wanted to also say thanks to the boys at Turbine X. They just donated. Just heard.
I'd love to be there. Can't, but we're going to donate anyway.
We're going to donate anyway. What they would have spent for a team entry, slid it over, and that'll go to kids sports. So pretty great stuff. You saw their Mad Rose. We had a lot of our partners were there. Vina Nova was there. Village Honda. How many times? Because we sat down, and it happens when you and your buddies are doing a dumb draft. Somebody picks a player that's already been drafted earlier in the evening.
Hurts.
It can happen. And then we talked about this. It's only 10 rounds. It's half the league. Is it really going to happen? And you called it penalty shots. What we'll do, and you poured 4 shot glasses.
Whiskey.
And if by chance somebody drafts a player that's already been selected earlier in the evening, you got to do a penalty shot. If you don't do it, you get 0. You don't get it. You got to forfeit that spot, or you come do the shot and we'll let you do it again. Did we have 2 in the first round?
We might have had like 30 to 50 on the night. It was an absolute
I've
abomination.
never seen anything like it. We almost weren't going to do it. People started doing it just to go and drink the whiskey.
Yeah, Rhett tried to get drafted 3 times at the same table just
Yeah,
so
Rhett
to drink
got
free
drafted
whiskey. This was not a punishment. People were very keen to do shots of whiskey.
Yeah, and then it became because at Village Honda they cut a check. They were embarrassed, and I loved the vim and the vigor and just the confidence. All right, yeah, we've got our pick. Pick. Dmitry Orlov.
5 rounds ago. Gone. You idiots.
Weird. He's still available in the 9th. I can't believe it.
Adam Fox. What are you talking about? You think the Norris guy's available in the last round of the draft?
Are you talking about Village Honda? Yeah, we're very embarrassed. We're going to make a donation.
Check here.
We're going to cut another check to Kids Sport. We're very embarrassed. But yeah, it was so great. We had McLeod Law was there. Our boys at Mad Rose Pub were there.
It's good.
I mentioned Vina Nova Village. The guys from 403 Local,
yep,
who I think, I mean, they're kind of partners. They're going to be partners again. They put on quite a night.
Oof.
They were the villain in the room.
Dysfunction and need for a GM search.
Yeah, it was
Jerry. We need you.
It was exactly what I hoped was going to happen. I know that our boy Jack had a hell of a time.
He was, well, I know the brakes on the left side, wherever the other pedal is, throttled.
Yeah, you talk about having a tire in the rut. Friggin' Jack, he wore the tire right off. He was on the rim.
He was bald
at about 8 p.m.
It was quite impressive.
Ran into him at the because we were went down to the casino there afterwards.
Pour down the hall, may as well feel the felt.
And you know how it's you know, start beer, move to whiskey, whatever. I mean, it was all over the friggin'
Caesars, beers.
He walked up at one point. He had 2 big tumblers of, you know, some booze with some dark cola in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, Jesus, Jack, like, how's it going, buddy? And he says, every time I ask for 1, they give me 2.
Which probably matched his vision.
It's a hell of a problem to have.
We kept him on the roster for a while too. He was we had some nice wine rammed into his gullet at about 1:30 a.m. as well.
Yeah, well, Sheldon from the Grey Eagle, he needed some help, and he had friggin' Jack. Who did you pick twice?
Because he was helping out the Grey Eagle too. Yeah.
Because you guys took why would I be asking Johnny 2 tumblers? I remember who he selected twice.
Double fisting Donnie over there.
Yeah, but you talk about I don't know if you know, because we didn't really see you at the casino, Rhett.
Smoke bombed.
It's a long walk from the hotel and the conference center to the casino. Did you take a wrong turn?
Yeah, I had to go for a leak. And
right.
I was lost. You can't.
Yeah.
Once you do that, it's hard to get your bearings back.
He is a great ninja smoke guy. Like, it's just poof, gone. No one knows. And
I had an 8 a.m. Flames first shift program. I had to coach the kids, and I was not going to show up drunk and belligerent.
That was a good decision, and we're not mocking your decision, but it's not a round of goodbyes. It is always a smoke bomb, which I kind of admire.
Which is okay. I pulled one of my own a little bit later. But what you did is you missed. Now, what is it that we know about our partner that when he is out and around people and he starts drinking and getting loud, or putting you on the spot a little bit, what's the one contest he likes to do? What's the one thing that he starts doing? High kicks. He loves high kicks. He starts kicking high, and then people remark that it's a high kick, and then it's a challenge.
Kicks,
and then they start doing kicks,
legs.
So we're in the casino, and he's doing his high kicks. Now he's wearing a glittery jacket.
It's a sequin blazer.
It's a beautiful, beautiful blazer. And so you've got this guy. How tall are you? 6'2", like
6'1", yeah.
High kicks, glittery jacket. Wow! Making his Pinder noises. I mean, there's just no way. There he is, right? There's no way to not see or hear him. It's a loud casino, and still, it's like, what is happening over there? What is this guy doing?
It's like there's a spotlight. The glitter was so good off that blazer.
So you were enjoying the band.
Oh, the band was great.
The band was on top of the stage bar, and you're doing your high kicks and you're doing your dancing, and now the female singers of the band have noticed you, and you noticed them, so now you're putting on a show for them.
There's a nice kick, and I'm like, well, I got to kick more now.
So you know what happens
talking about it.
Then, Rhett, as soon as Pinder sees that the band sees him, it's momentum. We do have the video.
Oh, no.
Because of course, he gets up on stage with the band.
This is above the bar?
This is on top of the stage bar for all to see.
Yeah.
Let's go. So we're doing some dancing.
Get a high kick in there. Here we go.
You got to sneak in your high kicks. Garth Brooks tribute here. Yeah. Here it comes.
There's a high kick, Rhett.
There's one. Yeah.
And I look out, and Dean is holding on to a PLT. He's trying not to fall
taking
over.
the video.
He's crying.
I put this through, like, take the shake out of it as best I can. Now we're doing, there you go. It's the
Can line or whatever.
Promoters. Radio City Music Hall dancers. Anthony from Village is, like, wheezing on the ground. Like, he's in pain watching this nonsense. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
there's your boy. And there was just, you knew, as soon as you locked eyes with that the one in Navy, and she was like, oh, hey, look at dude dancing. Oh, he's going up there.
I got invited. I did not go uninvited. But the amount of sheer joy that I got to bring to Dean's face amongst many of our other friends, I couldn't not do it. They were almost fainting. They were laughing so hard.
Where I picked up the video, he had been up there for a while. There was a little bit of uncertainty with the band. They warmed up to him.
It was like, well, who are you? And the lead singers had to be like, come on up, come on up.
Yeah, dude on the bass, like, who the wait a minute, what is this guy? No. Some drunk is up here. He's coming after the girls. Are we going to have to take this guy down with put him in the camel clutch or something?
And you know, it's a casino. There's lots going on. And so your attention goes to the band, other places, and back to the band. But they were riding the wave. The blazer was working for everyone.
Jesus Christ. So funny, man. So funny. I haven't checked. Is Anthony okay? Like his lungs have to feel like he smoked a carton of darts because he was laughing. It wasn't even a laugh. He was just, he was just in complete discomfort over what
I did check in yesterday.
Oh, there it is.
Look at the height on that.
Look at the height on that kick.
Yeah.
He's got her up there for sure.
I checked in yesterday. I said, how are your vital organs feeling today? And he said, well, Saturday was rough, but good today. I had a few beers today. I could not do that yesterday. Yourself? Great bleeping time. And I am all for transparency and honesty, Rhett. I'd like to tell you that was great and there was no repercussions for this behavior. But after this, found herself another venue and then found myself folded awkwardly like a pretzel on the couch at 6 a.m. with the sun rising. And I'm now on Robaxacet because I'm like a pinched nerve in my back from A, high kicking the snot out of my shoes, and B, folding up like a dummy watching Blue Jays in 30 for the fourth time at 4 a.m.
Yeah, Blue Jays in 30 is watching. Yeah, there it is.
I'm sure you cooked when you got home. You made yourself a meal as you always do.
Turn on the sports, and then like couldn't ski yesterday because of it.
Look at this donkey.
Life was not happy. We're here for good times, right? You don't go to the casino to have a bad time. Grey Eagle's all about fun.
I feel badly if you're only listening right now to the podcast. Go to YouTube, you can find it.
Oh, and no, that's on YouTube.
Well, jeez.
I'm fine with it, but yeah.
We'll get to the Pinder Report in a moment. We're going to take a walk down memory lane. This day in Flames history. Now, you threw this one. It's a presentation of McLeod Law, proud Calgary company. They were there. Peter
they were
was
mixing
there.
It up, eh?
Had the
trying to trade.
I know. Austin was working the room. I think there's some GM-y vibes there. The Flames could do worse than calling him.
Yeah, they were trying to move up. They were going to make
They were in the 13 hole. They wanted to get up to the top 3.
Yeah.
And then depending on if Draisaitl was there or not, there was contingencies in place, and we nearly had a deal with a huge contribution to Kidsport Calgary is the getting the deal done.
That's right. There was a lot of controversy. McLeod Law, proud of those Calgary roots, big part of their long-standing relationships with their clients. They understand this city, the people in it, the way things work. They have it's varied and diverse, just like McLeod Law themselves. A commitment to making a positive impact on the city of Calgary. We go back in time. Now,
this was a Battle of Alberta.
I don't know that I wrote this down, but I do have it here. This is in the Corral retro, so we're going all the way back.
High boards, look at that. It's like the shoulder height.
Can't tell by those corners.
Yeah, 1983 square corners, and
weird barn.
We were at the game on Wednesday night. Tim Hunter was there talking to the people.
Sharks.
You watch Timmy here. He's got him in the front face lock,
neck hold.
There you go. That was.
And there's Semenko again. He's still not off the ice.
What are you guys doing? Hey, what's up? You guys still going?
And another quirk of that rink is I think the penalty box and the boards, like you had your bench and a penalty box on one side, and then the other teams and their box on the other, something weird like that. I'm trying to remember. Or they were all on the same side. It was something weird like that. Anyway, I've played there a couple times. It's just odd rink.
And happy birthday to your buddy Chuck Kobasu today.
Chucky, 41, 42?
I think he's 40. 40
no,
even? I saw
40 last year, so the year before.
All right. So that is this day in Calgary hockey history for McLeod Law. What they've got the entrepreneur in mind. Obviously, we talk, there's Peter Klein. We talk about personal injury lawyer. That's his specialty. If you're dealing with any of that, there's no one else you go to. It's McLeod-law.com. It's Peter Klein and his staff. They take care of everything. You worry about you, and they got the rest. Even if you're just looking for a general firm, everyone's got legal needs here and there once in a while. Whether your challenge is business or personal, they are in it with you. The thing I like is you don't have that kind of, when you're walking in there, some law offices you walk in and say, oh God, jeez,
stuffy,
very approachable.
Yeah, well,
good people, normal people.
He's not wearing his Nords jersey in that little photo.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Very tidy jersey.
Very nice. Very nice. McLeod Law.
Kobasu 41. Birthday today, as you noted. It is 1982, April 17th.
How about that? There you go. Let's get to the Pinder Report, a presentation of the wheezing Anthony and Village Honda up at the Northwest Auto Mall, online villagehonda.com. Detailing packages start at just $79.95. Clean off winter.
Oh boy.
Book your details today at your dealership for life.
Fiddler's getting in there. He's right in the swing of
Village Honda.
All right.
Village Honda with the Pinder.
Come on, come all. Bring your high kicks. It's time for the Pinder Report.
Big
we will
winner.
Start with, some breaking news. Look at those moves. Those aren't dissimilar. Get a high kick in there.
Where's your sequin jacket?
Yeah, exactly. News of the day. Don Maloney has been named the president of hockey operations for the Calgary Flames and interim GM. Okay, lots to unpack here. That following Brad Treliving and the team parting ways. We've talked about it at length already this show, but fellas, I feel like the story is just beginning to be written of the offseason. Lots yet to unfold. That the Flames news of the day. And again, we probably did a solid 45 to an hour on that out of the gate.
Another 9 years for Brad Treliving. It's pretty good. I have to think one of the more tenured GMs. Obviously, David Poyle's, kind of on his own. Do you ever get fired if you're the GM?
He's done there now too.
Yeah. But yeah, one of the longer tenured GMs at the time of his release or didn't come to terms.
Have they named a new GM?
The terminology.
So what's that?
Is Nashville named a new GM?
Yeah, Trotz.
Terry Trotz.
So he
That's
actually
right.
spoke about John Hines yesterday. Said he likes him, but and does have term, but they're still doing the end of season chitter chatter.
Said he's very bald, which he likes.
Could see that.
Can relate to.
Stick together.
Friggin' bald guys.
Safety in numbers.
Yeah.
What wasn't made clear today is where Craig Conroy stands in all this. Is he a candidate for GM? He was extended a contract extension to remain a GM earlier, we heard. So we'll see that unfold and hopefully hear more names and information about the theoretical general manager search that's taking place under Don Maloney, by Don Maloney, who is the interim GM as it stands, which was kind of the same process as when Burke came in. He took over interim GM and then found his replacement.
There you go.
Okay, we'll move along. NHL matchups are set. We've hardly talked about it, fellas. The playoffs start tonight. The best. Round one. Oh,
It is so
round
good.
one, night one. Oh, right. This is the intensity. So we're going to go division by division, fellas. Here's the Metro. Carolina wins. They get the Islanders, two teams that really don't have a lot of interest in allowing goals. And, yeah, maybe we'll score here or there. Rangers Devils should be amazing. This is the Battle of the Hudson River. Short trip between both these fan bases that love to shake fists at each other. And depending on results, we could have another Greater New York matchup in the Metro final as well if the Islanders somehow get past Carolina. Let's hop over to our next division to take a peek at, I believe.
Well, aren't we predicting?
We will, but
Coming
not
up.
as part of the Pinder Report.
Okay,
So this is just
Okay.
here's what we learned over the weekend. Next division, Atlantic. We'll go there. We know this one was sorted for a while. Boston first, Tampa and Toronto in that 2-3. Toronto, the 2 seed. It was indeed Florida, another Atlantic team that gets wild card 2. Rhett, your Panteros facing Boston. And we'll talk a little more about the Bruins and some issues they're dealing with, not to mention Carolina, in just a moment. First, we go to the Pacific and Central, take a peek out west to see what the matchups are. We did have the Pacific sorted. We knew it was Oilers, Kings 2-3, and Golden Knights 1, Jets 4. What we didn't know until Friday night, and we made the announcement at the draft, Colorado did win. They are the 1 seed in the Central. They will get the Seattle Kraken, a Pacific Division team, and the 2-3, we already knew. We didn't. We knew Minnesota was the 3. It'll be Dallas, the 2 seed there. So interesting. Stars versus the former North Stars, or I guess the North Stars against the new Minnesota team. There's some good roots there. We're going to get any Norm Green signs or Norm Greed signs on the walls. Maybe it's a little time heals all wounds, I suppose.
Some Mike Modano. Hey.
Okay. Tonight's schedule is this, Rhett. We have 1 game from each division, and we got news about each. First off, look at this slate. The staggered start times. I mean, they're going to intermission.
Good job,
Carolina, right when Florida, Boston are getting going in the first. And then don't worry, 1 game's over. Another one hops right in with Minnesota and Dallas, and the nightcap should be a good one. Kings and Oilers, they split their season series, but the Oilers won twice in the last month of the season in low-scoring fashion against the Kings. That was impressive. So with that understood of our matchups tonight, let's start with some issues for the Boston Bruins today, Rhett. Optional skate on a game day in the postseason for round 1, game 1. And why? Well, there's a flu going around the Bruins room. Illness is going around, says Jim Montgomery. Several players are sick. Not the right time for that on the heels of arguably the greatest regular season in NHL history. And on top of that, Linus Ullmark not on the ice. They do have another goaltender up. It could be Swayman starting. Bergeron may not go, and we don't have clarity yet on Nick Foligno, whether he's cleared to play. He's been in a cast. Lots going on with the Bruins. Not that they can't overcome it, but not the best start to have the flu around the room day of game 1, right?
You know what they've got, Retro? Like back in your days,
The Pantera flu.
They got the Florida flu. You want no part
Well,
of these
we beat
Pantera.
the. I'll tell you what. That is one team that the Florida Panthers have beat in the playoffs.
We'll get to our
1-0
today later and our picks later. If you need reminding, here's how good the Bruins season was. NHL record for wins, NHL record for points. First place for the entire season in their division. First team in NHL history, 5 7+ game winning streaks. 5 streaks of 7 or more wins in a row. That's incredible. Never been done before in the league. And the 6th team in the last 45 years in all the major sports, that's it, to set a new record for most wins in a season. It's been an incredible year for the Bruins, but it sounds like they're going to hurdle right out of the gate for game one with this illness in the room. They're not alone with issues tonight. Carolina, they're hosting the Islanders. No Freddie Anderson. Antti Ranta named your starter. Remember the roar of laughter at the draft floor when Antti
high
Ranta
pick.
Uncle Antti going to start in net, and they've recalled Peter Kochetkov, who has been sensational at times this year because Freddie Anderson, of course, has missed so much time to injury. This is very interesting.
Ranta's brother had a
kid, and what would they call the dad's
kid?
brother?
Call him Uncle Antti.
Uncle Antti. That's what it would be. Yeah,
still works.
Still great.
Fuck, still so
Just
good. Right?
slays still.
Come on, what are you talking about? So good.
The other later games, we told you Minnesota, Dallas, and Edmonton against the LA Kings. Good luck, LA, containing not the Oilers, but this one human. Here's the season recap for McDavid. Most points in a season in the last 27 years. There's a lot of good players that played in the last 27 years. Fastest to 60 goals in a season in 27 years. First player in NHL history with 3-point streaks of 15 games or longer. Ever. First, ever.
Wow.
Sixth player to win the Art Ross at least 5 times. Second with the number he's got before the age of 27. And the 5th player in NHL history to finish as the outright leader in goals, assists, and points. First time in 36 years we've seen that. My goodness. The Kings could be great. That is something no one has an answer for at this point.
There's some real fear, Retro. There's some real fear out there that this team is going to make some noise here.
I know, and it's not like, wow, look at how smart they are. It's just like McDavid is so fucking good. How do you stop that?
Ekholm has been a good ad.
Yeah.
Skinner's been good in net.
Mm-hmm. Kings, you got your work cut out for you. Please. So an exciting night one and a little raised eyebrow yesterday is Kevin Weeks, who's nicely dialed in with a lot of agents and TV networks and NHL types, says keep an eye for an announcement on a forthcoming arena development project in Georgia, large enough to house a hockey team. I mean, I got a Timbits team that doesn't need a lot of room. NHL team? If you build it, will they come? Tweets Kevin Weeks. Could Atlanta get their 3rd crack at the NHL? I don't know, but he's been talking about Atlanta for a bit.
Maybe he's in cahoots.
Is he cahooting? Has he got a slice of a potential franchise there? Is he trying to?
Calgary's got a team, can't get a rink. They don't have a team, got a rink.
They'll get a rink, don't worry. Okay, we'll move along. Other news, Retro. I know you're excited about the Calgary Wranglers. We're going to walk you through exactly what the hell's going on there. First, we'll start with the incredible season that they have had. After losing 5 of their first 7, the Wranglers, 49-12-3-1. That is a tidy 785 points percentage. It's also, even with that rough start, losing 5 of 7, 9th best record in the history of the American Hockey League, which goes way back. Incredible stuff. Also, their inaugural season in Calgary, the AHL team, 106 points, 51 wins, tidy. They also have earned a bye in round 1 of the Pacific Division play-in round, where 7 teams get in, 6 will play each other. Wranglers sit and watch best of 3 series set to unfold. So here are the series you're looking at. Coachella Valley, that's the Palm Springs team. They get Tucson, who are fully loaded up with all the Arizona players coming down. Colorado against Ontario, and Abbotsford will play Bakersfield. Sitting and waiting. The Calgary Wranglers, who will watch games this Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday in this opening round play-in best of 3, and that puts them in line to start hosting games of round 1 next week. Everyone's been asking, when are they playing? When are they playing? Home ice through the playoffs. When are they playing? Next week at the Dome, expect first round action.
Too long off.
Too long off.
That's true. That bye is a long. How did the guys do 10 days or after All-Star break? They get 10 days off? No. They're playing well. No, this is bullshit.
Did you see the news that just came down from the Wranglers?
Please do tell me.
The head coach, Mitch Love, named AHL Coach of the Year for a 2nd straight season.
And that ties in nicely. They also win the equivalent of the President's Trophy and Dustin Wolf reels in the Jennings equivalent in the American Hockey League. He was the only goalie that got more than 25 starts. Pretty tidy season, 42-10-2, Rhett, 932 save percentage, 7 shutouts, goals against barely above 2 at 2.09. Impressive stuff. And you match him up to the other Wranglers goalies, he's still a half goal a game better, another 30 points on the save percentage, and they were about 500. So
what if the new GM doesn't like young goalies, though?
And big jumps in the crease. Like, that's a huge leap he has.
What if you don't like AHL MVPs?
He's not tall, and he's young, and he's jumping around.
Can't be jumping around.
You could trade him real easy. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, now would be the time for sure.
The Hap Holmes Award. Wolf led the AHL in every major statistical category, wins, save percentage, goals against, shutout. That's a clean sweep and has many believing he'll win the AHL MVP.
Other than that, though, fairly average.
That's right. Aside from being the best goalie in his league, again, what have you done for me lately? Okay, we'll move. Women's World Championship last night for the first time since 2019. The Americans victorious. Now, 2020 got wiped out by the pandemic. The Canadians have won 2 in a row. I believe they also won at the last Olympics. So this is a big victory for the American women who have been chasing the Canucks for a little bit. Great game last night. Canada had a 3-2 lead, only to watch the Americans score 4 unanswered. And apparently a mix of some veterans and a much younger supporting cast for the Americans played a big role in the victory last night. Rhett, divided in your home, I'm sure it's going to be tough.
It is hard. Kids are cheering for the Americans. Little shits.
Will they be cheering for the Eagles? Because Jalen Hurts just gave them a whole lot of confidence they'll be good for the next little while. A 5-year deal, Rhett, worth $255 million. That is over $50 million a year, and $179 million of the $255, nearly 80%, guaranteed. Highest paid player in league history until, Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and the next young quarterback gets paid, and then they'll become the highest paid player in the league.
So what does that look like every 2 weeks? Is that direct deposit into your checking? Like, how does that work?
Well, how many weeks are in a year? Do you know that?
Good God, it's 30?
No.
40?
He's getting $1 million a week almost. But if you pay him over just the length of the season, which is about a third of the year, he's getting about $3 million a week.
Oh, I hope he's saving some of that.
Hello, Mr. Hertz. Have you thought about opening up a savings account? Because you've got
$19
$19 million in your checking account.
Sorry. I just see another transfer. It's now $20 million.
It's a very high balance for your checking account.
Could we
love you to come in and have a meeting with us? We could talk to some of our financial planners.
Cavalry opened their CPL season in Forge against stinking Forge, the Hamilton team. I said that.
Yeah.
2-1 lead. And look at how they got it. This is an incredible goal that put the Cavs ahead in the second half. Keep an eye on this one.
Now here they come again, looking for the long-range shot. Me. What a shot that is. And what a goal. And Cavalry are back in front.
So it's that easy.
Mickey Cantave picked it up in midfield.
That's so big, eh?
No pressure. And decided
big nets
to buy a ticket from 25 to 30 yards out. And smashes it into the top corner.
Keep doing that, son. Forge would equalize 76th minute. Here's the last look at it. Wango. And couldn't have put it in the
Pinder, you could kick the ball like that.
If I could line up those high kicks to the right spot of the ball,
you'll be in the fetal position on your couch.
That's right. But
shortly after.
If Tommy needs a guy for kicks, like I don't want to run around 10K for 90 minutes. But if you want to bring me in for kicks, if you're in a playoff game, I'm in. Mickey Cantave with the goal there. 2-2 draw for Calgary. That's a good start to get a point on the road against one of the top teams in the CPL since it began. They're in Victoria for a pair, playing Pacific FC twice, I believe, Friday, Sunday this weekend. And finally, Anthony Bass of the Toronto Blue Jays, not happy with, there's the kick.
There it is.
Just lower that plane a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of planes, getting an earful, United Airlines from Anthony Bass about the treatment. Now, Rhett would usually do this for his family. If you're going to make the shoveler do something inappropriate, I'm going to call you out for it. Flight attendant just made my 22-week pregnant wife traveling with a 5 and 2-year-old get on her hands and knees to pick up popcorn under the seat. Are you kidding me? Kids are going to spill popcorn when they're 2 and 5.
I feel like I would have ignored that person.
Yeah.
You got a dust buster?
Seriously.
Oof. Just get a dog in there.
Yeah,
come gobble that up. Don't you have some of those dogs, airport dogs?
I would never waste that much, but it's kids. I mean, what
I was going to say, these kids got to learn how to eat friggin' popcorn.
They're learning life. It's only 5 and 2. I bet you it's the 2-year-old.
Yeah.
It's not quite there yet. So anyway, that's a shame.
I have so much popcorn right now.
Do you still have popcorn?
Oh yeah, it's eating so much popcorn, yet so much popcorn left.
There's your Pinder Report, fellas, on a Monday.
Presented by Village Honda. Get your piece of the $1 million buy-in event. Get cash for your vehicle. Village Honda paying top dollar. For used vehicles, they'll throw in a tropical cruise to boot. See more at Village Honda and villagehonda.com. We'll make our picks.
Yeah.
Betway Bets of the Day, all coming up here. I want to mention, we talked about Grey Eagle, the Grey Eagle Resort and Event Center. A lot coming up at the Event Center in the next little bit. Whitney Cummings next week. Actually, it's the Eagles. What do you tribute band? It's not a cover band. That's right. You don't call it a cover band. It's a tribute band. They got the Eagles, Hotel California, the original Eagles tribute next Thursday. Whitney Cummings coming in on Tuesday of next week, 25th. And, of course, REO Speedwagon going to be there on the 4th of May. We have tickets to give away. Yeah. Be watching our social media accounts, Instagram, Twitter. We'll be looping in Grey Eagle. We'll get you in there. But we have 2 pair. We'll do that at some point this week. We'll give you some time to get in on.
And you noted Whitney Cummings. She did, I believe, a roast of Bert Kreischer, who's another guy that just been there. I mean, talk about like a comedy mecca all of a sudden here at the Grey Eagle.
Yeah, she is. She's elite. She's an elite stand-up comic.
She's pre-Apex, not post-Apex.
She's pre-Apex.
Yeah, or Apex.
Even. All tickets are available. Anything that's going on at the Grey Eagle Event Center, Ticketmaster.ca is where you get those. I put together a little thing for you boys. Little best of the weekend. A presentation of Green Drop. They were by my house already. It's a nice feeling.
They're not messing around. They know when to be there.
You come home a little on the door. It's like, hey, we were by today. Here's what we're looking for.
Check your emails if you want more information. We'll keep you in the loop.
Go to greendrop.com and also take a look at BuzzBoss. I know we're not talking about BuzzBoss right now. We will be, but BuzzBoss for pests, rodents, bugs, just that sort of stuff. Especially now, everything's kind of melting. It's gross. What's going on there? BuzzBoss. Get a hold of them. Either way, we've been telling you about Green Drop. Choose from one of their many lawn fertilization programs. You got the beautiful basic program, micronutrients, weed control, all the way up to the beautiful premium package. You get that aeration. Let her breathe, bud. Let her breathe. A little overseeding. The soil booster. You want to boost it.
Boost?
Why wouldn't you want to boost it if you can boost it?
Boost?
Make your lawn healthy and lush all summer long. Greendrop.com. And if you click the QR code there on the screen on our YouTube, you will get a nice little barn burner discount. That's how.
So Green Drop already kicks ass, and you're going to save money?
That's correct.
Hello.
That's correct.
I'm going to pick up the phone for you and give that QR code a zip. Let's go.
So this is the my best of the weekend. We start here with our boy. We'll start her up here.
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Playoff draft.
No one's there, and he's already out. So we had no hockey games,
right?
You know, but Rhett, I know you're kind of down. You had to leave. If a baby elephant taking a bath can't cheer you up, I don't know what can. Look at that! Hey, look at that guy. Is he happy or what?
A high bouncer, fair down the right field line, and the ball boy just missed it as it goes toward the corner. Turner's around third. He's heading for home. The throw goes to second. RBI double for Schwarber, and the Phillies do strike first. And what a break they had that the ball boy missed the ball down the right field line.
Then they're off to the races.
Yeah, right here, Rube.
Right here. Ready? Thank goodness he missed it.
Rips down
the first base. Oh, he did it again.
Did it again.
It's going to be. They're saying no. It's safe. that it did not hit him. I think somebody's got to have a talk with that young man.
That would
Jason Rays, good beauty here from Vladdy. Makes the stab, the toss to Simber. Whoa. Not too shabby.
Gold
glove. This one, same game. Throw takes him off the bag. Watch him do the old.
Got him in the air before.
Got him in the old. You know what he got? The old reach around. That's what he got him.
Oh.
Got old whit with the old reach around. The old lover. Cody Bellinger back to Dodger Stadium. Remember the Cubs. Here's his first at bat.
Got a standing ovation from this Dodger Stadium crowd on his first trip back here. And he got a pitch clock violation. Come on, Jim.
You got to stand. Oh, and he didn't get in the box in time.
Drill deep to left field. There it goes. See ya. A long home run. No, it went off the wall. My apologies, but 2-run score, and it's a 2-run double percent.
All right, so this is in Chicago. I had to do a little bit of looking. Now, here's our girl on the right in the black tank top.
Oh, she's seeing things.
See the Coke bottle there? See the Coke bottle? Anyway, so there's our girl in the black tank top. She's coming up the stairs. She wants in. It's not really her fight, but she's going to get in there and just start. I'm going to start throwing some fucking haymakers. Look out. And you want some too? I'll give you some. All right, fine.
Oh. Just
fine. Now, there's some hair pulling. Now, see the right hand? See the hand there? It's cocked back. Whack. Oh. She gets a good one in there. You can't really see it, but it's a pretty good slap. Tank top is unfazed. Again, here's your Coke bottle. All right, this is she got the nacho hat going too. Lots of hair pulling. See G Baby here in the green and black. Remember him for later. So tank top. She's gonna go back down to her seats. Boyfriend's finally got her calmed down. Finally got her calmed down. She is hot though. Now she's loving life. She's firing out some birds.
Jeez. Oh yeah.
All right, so
round one to me.
Yeah.
Very excited.
But Martinez here coming up. She's going to have none of it. There's your Coke bottle. Remember I told you about the Coke bottle?
Keep an eye.
Yeah. Wonk. And now tank top's fired up. She is
the windshield. That's awesome.
She's hot. Look out. She comes falls
girl.
up the stairs, which is not easy to do. Now look at boyfriend here. Boyfriend restoring order. He's like, hey, watch this. Yeah.
Was a near wardrobe malfunction too. Holy moly.
Stop. Cooler heads. Definitely by now gonna prevail, right?
Watch the elbow here.
Yeah, gonna prevail.
Got a loose wing. Careful.
Now watch on the right side of your screen here. We got G Baby and our buddy there with the cheeks.
Yeah.
Watch cheeks. Oh dear. He's gonna take one hard right there, and then G stops him. Suckered him right there with G Baby. And remember our boyfriend, the peacemaker. Stop. He's like, fuck that. Now I'm in.
Yeah.
Now I'm going for some headlocks. Let's go. You gotta love Chicago. That doesn't happen at Wrigley. That's White Sox. I don't know.
Yeah, that is.
No idea who they were playing or who won.
America?
Yeah, it's something like that. Now, this is a walk down memory lane. You might remember this one. This is one of my favorites. Fenway, 2007. Foul ball. Garrett Anderson of the Angels goes to grab it. The fan gets a hold of it, knocks it up, and then gets pelted with a piece of wheel.
And what kind of balls are those? I'm going to tell you something. If y'all drop ping pong balls on my head. How did y'all know he would say the word ping pong? They made me do it. How did they know? Chuckster. What you mean how they know? Because he's been repeating this stuff for 30 years. They made me do it.
Who has more fun than those guys, right? So this is the Rangers' final game of the season. There's Isaiah Marquez Green, huge fan of Jacob Trouba. He survived the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. His sister, though, was killed in the event. Huge Trouba guy watching this.
How long? 3 years.
When did you live there?
From when I was 5 to when I was 8.
Saw you.
Thank you so much.
You want me to sign it?
Yeah, of course.
You want to come over the bench with me?
Thank you so much.
There you go.
This is amazing.
Take a seat.
All right.
I got to talk to you.
All right.
I know your story.
Yeah.
I feel for you. You're an amazing human.
Thank you.
What do you want to do? You know?
I want to be on the way.
Yeah? This is for you. From the Garden of Dreams.
Yes.
This is a scholarship for law school.
No
So you're going to graduate from college, and you're going to go to law school, and you got no debt coming out of school.
Thank you so much.
You deserve it, man.
Thank you so much.
Congrats. Your phone? Yeah. I'm going to give you my number. Oh, no way. You're not going to give it to anybody else, but I want an invitation to when you graduate law school. Sure. And I'm going to check in with you when you go to college next year. I'll text you. You're amazing, buddy. I'm looking forward to what you accomplish in life. Thank you so much. You got a lot ahead of you. Hey, great game today. Good luck in the playoffs. Amazing person. Thank you. Thank you.
It's Captain Dean right there.
There you go.
Holy shit.
Ended on a high note with the best of the weekend for Green Drop. Get those greenkeepers in your yard, on your lawn, doing all the work for you. 100% guaranteed. If you're not satisfied, they return and make things right. Greendrop.com. Why have a crummy lawn when it's this easy to have one of the best lawns in the neighborhood? Greendrop.com.
Flash QR code. Your lawn's already better. Let's go.
Love it. Love that. Interesting kid wants to be a lawyer.
We've got a place in town here that if he's looking.
Awesome. Let's do some picks. Rhett was hungry earlier, wanted to get these picks in, dying to get some picks in.
4 games tonight, 4 series we can do today. We'll do the other 4 tomorrow.
All right. Sounds fine.
Sure.
The New York Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes, they just quietly go about their business, eh?
Yeah.
They quietly go about their business. Other teams are making flashy trades. Patrick Kane doing all this stuff. Carolina, they just kind of
pull a goalie off the trash heap and turn into a Vezina winner. Let's go.
Just kind of do their own thing. So Carolina and the Islanders. There you see it. 3-1 season series edge for Carolina. Yeah, it's 4 games.
Yeah. They're going to play potentially 7 here. I'm more interested in these ones than the last 4.
They, being the Islanders, we weren't crazy about having them in. Feel like they're kind of boring.
I was.
They're going to want this to be a low-scoring matchup, Retro.
To be fair, so does Carolina in a way, don't they?
I'm picking the New York of Islanders. Thank you very much.
Ooh. Dino?
20 points separating the two. Is that my...
Yeah, that's good math.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, not boomer math.
I am going to take Carolina in 6. Even with Frederick Anderson and that upsetting news today, I'll go Carolina in 6.
I don't like that upsetting news today, and I'm going to take the Islanders in 7. When in doubt, the best goalie in this series is, without question, Ilya Sorokin. And they kind of got some vibes. That new building. They got healthy Matthew Barzal returning tonight. Horvat's been good since he got there. I've got an upset special here.
All right.
Isles in 7.
To Boston, where the Bruins... They're pretty good. The regular season told us these guys, not too shabby. They've got the Florida Panthers, who it felt like were on the outside looking in until the final night of the season.
How the F do you get into playoffs with 92 points? Jesus.
Flames couldn't get in with 93 in the West. Now it's a tougher conference, but geez, that's, President's Trophy to that.
I'm really going to go out on a limb, men. I'm going to say Bruins in 5.
I will take the Bruins in 6. I think this flu is not good for them, but that said, they still get this done.
The flu is going to just derail an all-time record team. The Panthers don't lose to Boston. They never have lost to Boston in the playoffs. They're my boys. Let's go Florida.
You want to guess games or who cares?
If Florida wins, are you guys going to be upset? If I don't,
I'm going to be excited to watch Florida. I mean, my pool's fucked, but
yeah, I'll give you Florida without games.
Yeah,
I'll give you credit.
Okay.
Florida wins, you get full credit, full marks there.
I'm really hopeful that it's a bad flu bug.
Yeah, just
a lot of questions this morning. A lot of questions.
Minnesota, Dallas. The Dallas Stars.
Now, am I a Richard if when I sent my picks in to the editors at FlamesNation, they're different than the ones I make on the show today?
I don't care. No, that's
brilliant.
Because I picked Minnesota yesterday, and I really like Ottinger and the Stars this year. I think last year, you got to see what that goalie can do, and I don't know that Minnesota knows who their goalie is right now. I like both teams, but if I have to pick one, I'm taking the Stars in 6.
I'm taking the Dallas Stars in 6. I too.
Let's make it
maybe
clean sweep.
Oh boy,
maybe
put your money
recency.
on Mini. If we're all on one team, it's going the other way.
Well, that's not the spirit. That's not the karma we need. So the final one now, taking place just up the road. Did I see the Dom and a lot of these metrics have the Oilers like the third best chance of winning.
Yeah, now it's a big number for Boston and a pretty big number for Colorado and a big number for Toronto, considering the same division as Boston. But I don't think there's a clearer path to a conference final than what the Oilers have in front of them.
So you're taking the Oilers, as am I.
Nope. I will not take the Oilers. Kings in 7. Those power plays dry up through games 5, 6, and 7, Rhett. So hopefully the Kings can steal one tonight and hang on with their teeth until the whistles go away.
Oilers in 6. I think the Kings get a couple here. I think it's a series, but yeah, I don't
win early, Kings. Win early.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put some pressure on them. I'll go Oilers, even though they suck.
That's true. Yeah.
You pick games?
Oilers in 5.
This one we need
Oilers
games.
in 5.
Oh, quick one.
7-gamer last year was a really good series, and both teams are better. This, I think, again, if Kings can get 1 or 2 early, got a good series here.
Wonder if maybe McDavid's got a tickle or something.
That'd be nice if they got the flu, wouldn't it?
Gosh, I was watching Pinder do high kicks, and man, I just don't feel so good. I was out late. We went to this wine bar, and I don't know what the hell was happening.
I think that's Jack that's got those symptoms, not Connor.
Betway bets of the day, and we'll get out of here on your Monday. Playoff hockey,
love it.
I'm going with some pre-built bets. Highest scoring match of the night. I'm going to say Edmonton, LA. And
2 low-scoring games coming in, so interesting. All right.
I do kind of peg that Islanders, Carolina, low scoring.
Yeah.
Boston, Florida, worried a little bit, but I think Dallas. I'm going to, I guess, whatever.
I don't
need
mind
to justify. That's my pick.
Yeah.
Plus 187, highest scoring game of the night, Edmonton, LA. And then a little Pasternak, Draisaitl, and Robertson, all scoring tonight, plus 300.
I'm going to be overreaction Ryan on this Monday and say, look, these are long series. I don't know that we see any sweeps in round 1. Like, there's always a game you're going to win if you're in a decent series. I'm going to ride the news of the day. Flu's battling the Bruins. I'll jump on Florida today at a big number, plus 175. Don't think they win the series, but if they're going to win a game, it's probably tonight. And I like the Islanders on the road with a great goalie against Antti Ranta, surprise starter. No Freddie Anderson to be seen. Plus 135. The Uncle Auntie.
Or a niece.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. Those are the Betway bets of the day. Get the app on your phone. Odds are subject to change. Like if Antti Ranta gets something and they got to go with Kachem, then maybe it changes.
No, how would you get a great uncle? Would it be like your father's cousin? Because or would it be a good
Betway bets of the day. B19. Be responsible. Always bet responsibly. Always. So big news on the show today. Right before the start, Brad Treliving announced by the team they have mutually agreed to part ways. Team begins the search for a new GM. Don Maloney, president of Hockey Ops, conducting that search.
Those are all the facts. The speculation will be how strong a candidate is Craig Conroy. Is he a leading candidate? And we'll unpack, I guess, the flowing of rumors that'll begin from insiders now around the Calgary Flames.
What about you, Retro? Are you a candidate to be the new GM?
Going to send in my resume. I don't know how to do a resume, but once I get a resume made, I'm sending it in.
Get some crayon.
Well, I mean, Craig Conroy's got a really good chance to get this job, I think we'd all suggest. I don't know that it wouldn't be wild if there was a few people from the 04 club gathered together. Daryl's going to stay, we believe. Craig's got a good chance at being the GM. And you said it 2 years ago, Rhett, if this thing ever falls down, don't be surprised if Jerome surfaces here with Craig.
Oh, wouldn't shock you at all.
Well, and then Rhett's got his assistant coach. He's going to leave us high.
Oh, is that what it's going to be?
Track. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Baby.
That'll do it for the program. See you tomorrow, buddies.
Enjoy the hockey. Oilers suck.
Thank you, Rhett.
See you.